All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Serious Angler Podcast, powered by our friends over at X2 Power Batteries. Of course, we are back on another Friday episode. It is myself and co-host Mr. Andy Full, and our guest for today is Mr. Carl Jocumsen, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro. We talk about a few different things in this one. We talk about his incentive, his Fear My Heart incentive that he's been doing that I am really absolutely loving. And we got into that pretty good in this conversation, as well as the late cleanups that he's been doing. I'm really just catching up and being real with Carl. But, before I say that, I wanted to encourage you guys to, and I say it, of course, in this episode, but just a reiteration, being that I'm filming this outro and the post show, is encourage you guys to go listen to the show he did with Dave Mercer, because he really opened up a lot more on some issues. And I didn't want to regurgitate those conversations. And I really don't think it would have done any good, because Dave is an incredible host and does a great way of bringing these conversations out with these guys. And Carl did an incredible job of answering some tough questions, opening up about things. And I think his voice carries a lot of weight. So I encourage you guys to go and listen to that one, because definitely things that need to be said. So, and things that I don't think can come from Andy and I, and makes more sense for those guys to speak about. But regardless, we learned a lot from Carl. Of course, always a motivational and inspiring human being with his story, but also just his ever, constant mindset, being so diligent and confident, and just the different vibes he puts off in regards to just staying positive and absolutely working your freaking tail off. So we get into a lot about that. So I can't explain it any better. We might as well just get into today's show. Appreciate y'all for tuning into this one. And hey, if you want to find Carl's favorite bait for the month of May, we linked it down to Omnia Fishing below. Check out the show notes. Check out Carl Jocumsen's favorite bait for the month of May. But without further ado, let's get into today's show.
In the world of battery power, a word to the wise: compromise elsewhere.
All right, we are back, and we're back with our second guest of the night. So let's get him on here. Feel like we just saw him in a commercial. Mr. Carl Jocumsen. What's going on, man?
Hi, guys.
Yeah, I didn't realize it till now, but you're technically on every single show of ours now.
Nice. Yep. Anytime there's X2 there, my ugly mug will probably come up there somewhere.
That's good. Yeah,
hey, it could be worse.
I just text you on the side, Bailey, but before you do that every time, you should just be like, a quick word from Carl.
Yeah. It might get more people's attention that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I was like, wait. I was like, I totally forgot Carl was in that commercial, right? And I was like, oh, that would have been really funny if he said that right before we tuned into this part of the show. Oh, man,
yeah.
That'd been good.
He shot that up in Ontario right after the last tournament of the season last year. And went out with Gussie and all the X2 team and caught some smallmouth, and yeah, it was a bunch of fun.
Yeah, it was a good crew. They definitely put out for a nice Airbnb and everything like that. Yeah.
We were camped right near there, and it was cool. It was real cool.
Man. Yeah. Well, dude, halfway through the season, obviously a lot of craziness going on. I first want to start this off by, if folks have not listened to your show with Mercer, that was absolutely incredible, and highly encourage everybody to go listen to it. And I feel like I'm saying that almost every week now, because Mercer's just putting out banger episodes after banger episodes.
Yeah.
But definitely encourage people to go listen to that, because it's really, really well done. And you guys had some great conversation that I think anglers just really need to hear right now. That's one thing I appreciate about you. It's just keeping it real. But man, midway through the season, What's going through your head? Like what's on the outlook for the remainder?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a bumpy season, I guess. It's been a bit of an up and down one. Kicked it off really well on Toledo, straight up, made a solid cut on my first tournament, and then she's just been a roller coaster up and down. And it's just a weird one because I kind of had the best start I've ever had to an Elite Series year last year, and went into the Classic sitting in second in AOY. And then, rolled into more good tournaments. And I think I made 4 or 5 cuts in a row. And then I had a bad back half of the season and only just snuck into the Classic. And I just slowly fell. And that was sort of super frustrating. So this year is going to be it's going to be a fight. I'm in another fight. And I've always had that, nothing's ever come easy in this sport. It's where I come from, how I've had to fight here, still learning. And then it's not how it was where I would be generally hitting my peak right now. Technology and all of these things are colliding and it's changing. And that's kind of how just life is at the moment with everything. But it's a little bit frustrating because you're like, man, I'm right on the peak of where I should be at the peak of everything, like my physical fitness, my mental side of things, my experience, my on the water decisions, that you just maturity in general on all aspects of fishing. And it's like hit a wall where I've had to go, whoop. And I'm now, instead of me sort of going like this, I've had to run into this technology and adjust real quick or get left behind. And I'm lucky that I'm at the age where I'm right on that border where I am good with technology and I love it and I accept it. And technology has done a lot for me and I've always embraced it. And then I've always but I grew up and I've got the old school mentality of fishing as well and learning all the techniques here. So it's just been a little bit of that this year. It's been this fight of just go all in on this side, and then this fight of your instincts to be I want to fish as well. And it's just shown that you can't do that this year. You have to just go all in, and fishing's a little bit like that. And it's all decisions, and one little decision here and there and your whole season looks different. But it's been it's just been frustrating for me, but it's also been these types of years are where you show the most growth in so many things. And I've handled the tougher tournaments better than I ever have in my life looking back at it. And I'm kind of proud of that. I can feel myself maturing in a way that I don't feel like it's going to be the end of the earth. And I can come back and I just know how easily I can just win Wheeler and everything looks amazing. And that's the mentality that you've got to have that short memory.
Yeah. And I think you being that critical of yourself is one, I think the reason you're still here. I think you can't be as competitive, as driven as you are if you're not that critical of yourself with high expectations, things like that. But obviously I know you described it as a bumpy season this year, but I think if you look at big picture of if you had a graph of your trending, I think you're going in the very the best direction you would want to go. From a career standpoint, more and more consistency, exactly what you've been saying. But one thing I'm curious about how you operate is you see these guys like yourself, like Swindle, Brandon, Ike, guys that are obviously very tapped into the fishing side, very consistent and talented from that front, but also very tapped into the business side and are very smart with how to make money when you're off the water and keep busy and keep your brand on the forefront. Some guys, it can be a distraction for on the water. But for you, I'm curious, is it sometimes a distraction, or do you think you need to have many things going on to keep you kind of focused and kind of keep your brain turning at the rate you want it to?
That's the ultimate question of this sport right now. There's so much to it. And you've just got all of these aspects coming in from every way. And I had some awesome conversations coming back yesterday on a trip with Kayla and her mum, just talking about how just the world and even fishing industry and everything, like they see you with a trophy and they see you as winning, but like every other aspect in your life could be a train wreck. And they're like, and just the quick response of people is that guy's a champion and he's doing this and this. And but the trophy like outweighs all of these other things. And I've just gone, and I used to think like that. And I realized that like if I didn't bring people along or have people with me or have my peers, wanting me to succeed, then like what am I really here doing? And I'm like just gonna hoard all of this stuff and try and just win at all costs and doesn't matter about anyone else. And so I'm like, all I wanted to ever do was I want to win at every aspect of life. Like, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest keys. And one of the hardest things I think it's to do, and especially in a professional sport, it's just near impossible because you have to put so much time in. But like, if I just feel like if I'm not winning in these other areas, am I really winning over here? And when you win over here and you're successful in all these other areas, sponsorship, the relationships you have with your sponsors, whether you can keep them for a long period of time, are they growing? Your family, like we have all of these things. And so, but that's the advantage of the young angler. And then like everyone has their advantage and disadvantages, and you need to like tackle into that and go all in, because the young angler has all of this time to put on the water. And I've done that. I've idled for months at St. Lawrence River and just camped there and camped on Chickamauga and lived here for 2 months and just fished the whole lake, knowing there's a tournament next year or whatever it is. I've done all of that. But like when you have a family and a house and bills and sponsors and stuff, you can't go out there and idle all day, every day for 2 months straight. Like nothing's going to happen in all these other areas of your life, but you might win the tournament. But you might not as well. So you got to manage all of that. And so for me, fishing is so crazy and so hard to like be consistent in that I'm like, I can't have my other side of my life failing and not winning in fishing as well. Then you're in some real trouble. But like, at least if I'm winning, like with my wife, being a dad, raising Riv, my home, all of my family, my friends, and my sponsors are happy and I'm doing things for them and they're growing and I'm growing and I can see the growth and all of these other things. If the fishing tightens down on me and gets tough, I've got that. I know I'm winning there and I know I've got to ride through that until I start catching them again, because I'm competitive. I want to win. It's the worst feeling in the world. Like, I can't tell you there's any other worse feeling than like losing, like at Murray. It's just, I can't even explain it, but that's why I'm where I am, is because of those feelings that I have of not doing well. So like, but then you got to fight off the urge to be like, I'm going to go to Wheeler and spend every day, daylight till dark there. And maybe that will help. But it's one of those things where you have to do what works for you. And that's how I see life and fishing and all the things in it. But right now, spending every single second on the water, using forward facing sonar and figuring the fish out is doing really well. That's what's succeeding in fishing. But I think it's doing this and then it'll do this, and the guys with experience will come back and it'll work, because it's looking like, the young guys get to spend all of this time. They spend crazy amount of time in the water and they're competing, but all the old guys do too. And they've got 40 years of doing that as well. It's not like they've just they're not doing it. They've spent, a guy will have to live a lifetime to spend as much time on the water as some of the guys that have lived and breathed this. But it's just that technology and that experience of sort of like collided heads right now. And it's just interesting to see how it's working.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see going forward what changes, if any, are implemented. But you and Mercer solved a lot of problems on that podcast, and hopefully we see a lot of those come to fruition. But man, I think in regards to the things you mentioned, you're definitely winning in a lot of things. And I think you should never, and I doubt it you are, but in question of winning as a dad and a wife, because at least if I'm seeing your daughter with these giant bluegills that you even catch, so I think you're on the right path. So,
Yeah.
that's
That time I'm so lucky. Like, I love that we created this life where we get to spend together, and then that Riv gets to see me like chasing my dreams and see me in the ups and downs, and her just being outdoors, loving, like, this industry is so cool and it's full of amazing people. And I love that we get to travel, and Riv has been on the road since she was 2 weeks old. She was staying in a camper in Florida. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. We had this little tiny baby, and like, she's not staying home. We're driving to Florida in the truck, and she's going to sleep in Breathe It, and we're just going and doing it. And that's the passion that you have for fishing. Like, it's not, you're going as a team. And that's what I love about what we have, is like, we have this team and we ride through the ups and downs. And Kayla's been through hell and back, and I've put her through it, no doubt. And she's like treated my dream like it's her dream. She's helped me like achieve it. I'm here, but like, it also never ends. Like, just because I won or I did this or I'm here, it doesn't mean that I've made it. That's a life lesson that I learned. Is several times I thought, if I can just get here, I'm done. I've made it. And that's not a thing. And I think the quicker you get that out of your head, the more you'll realize that this is a long track journey that never ends. And you've got to love it so much that you've got to be able to ride through the lowest of lows to try and climb your way back up to get those high points. And yeah, it doesn't stop. I'm working harder than I've ever worked in my whole life now. And I got to keep working to keep everyone, to keep my sponsors, to keep what I have, to keep my career. I have to keep working. It doesn't just stop.
Yeah, it's almost that fear of what happens if I don't, and then it's weird when you come to that point where you think, yeah, I don't know how much more I can tack on, and you kind of almost push that envelope more and more, but it almost turns you into like this workhorse monster, if you will. But I think that's a good thing in the end. And plus, I think whether you intentionally do it or not, having your daughter along for all that, like, I learned from my father, whether he thinks he taught me or not. Like, when I was super young, he had to work 3 jobs type of deal. Whether he put that on display or not, I learned from watching that. She's going to learn from watching you and your wife and how hard you guys work. That's going to rub off. I mean, I think it's something itself to be extremely proud of. If the example that you're setting, not only for her, but I mean, dude, the amount of people that follow you, that I can't tell you the people on my local circuit here that just, fishing kayaks in New York that wear Fear My Heart shirts, that go to do CrossFit with Fear My Heart shirts on. Like, it's, it is a lot of impact, man. So it's cool. In short version, you're kicking ass is what I would say.
That means a lot, dude. That's what I like. I said it on stage when I won. I'm just like everyone else. I think I just have this thing in my mind that, like, it's so easy I just looked at people and I'm like, man, that guy is just different. He's just on a different level than what I can be on, but it's just not true. You're just human, just like me. And I can do the things just like you, but like, you're going to have to go through the trenches and become the person that is able to get up. Like, there's some cool things, like, talked about how, you don't just get grit. You have to go through the things to give you grit. You don't just have it. You don't just get it. And you don't get all of these things, patience and will and drive and determination. There's all of these things that you have to go through to get. It's not just given to you. And so I fall into the trap all the time of just like, man, it just doesn't stop. But I'm like, when it gets hard, I'm like, all right, now I spark up a little bit, because I'm like, this isn't happening to me. I've got to work my way through it. And it's a decision, because it feels good to be like, it's too hard. Everyone's too good. I'm getting my butt whipped. I can't compete. It's so hard and just to even like get through. And then so right there, you've got this little easy decision of just like, oh, I'm just going to do something else, or I'm going to bear down and I'm going to get up and I'm going to get better. I'm going to learn. What have I got to do? And next minute you do that more often and more often, more often. And then, I just see it as like you'd have to hit me with a bus to stop me. That's how you feel in the end, where like when you haven't gone through that, you see these little things where one little thing happens and you're just like, oh, why me? And you crumble. But if you go through enough, next minute, it takes a lot to even rattle you at all, if you can even be rattled. So you sort of got to embrace it a little bit.
Yeah, it was one of the things my grandfather told me as a kid. He said it's pretty easy to go to the pity party, but it's pretty hard to go home. Where it's like, you can't. Yeah, you gotta just ignore that, throw it in the trash. That's such a good point. What's that, Andy?
It feels good to like have a pity party for yourself.
It does. I feel like there is some things where it's like you can give yourself like after you. I don't know if I think it was maybe Hunter that said it on here, but like you give yourself 24 hours after a bad tournament to beat yourself up, and then you gotta completely just block it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of that. But I'm curious, and I want this to get more traction. I sent it to like Kumar, people like that, because this Fear My Heart incentive I think is freaking awesome, dude. And I didn't even realize it was a thing until you'd made a post with Caleb. But what started all this? What was the idea behind it? Like, what was the motivation?
We're always trying to do cool stuff with Fear My Heart. It resonates with a lot of people, and we keep pushing different ways of like, how is this going to help people? Like, it's not. I don't particularly like that. Like, it's my thing, but I don't want it to be my thing. I use it, but I want it to be someone else's reason that they get up and that they fear my heart. I want them saying that. I don't want it to be around me, but I use it every day to get up and do the things that I do because I know that's what I'm going to need to get through what I've got in front of me every single day. And so we're just always bouncing ideas and how can we get this out to a bigger, audience, or let it help people in a different way, in a positive way. And we've done late cleanups. We're doing one this weekend on Chickamauga. And behind me, we've got Kayla's mum is here, and Kayla and they've been unpacking stuff, and all of this is all crazy prizes from all of my sponsors that all have got behind us. And just like that positive vibe of our sponsors saying, that is awesome. We want to get behind you. And just seeing like me not having to like convince everyone, like this is what we're going to do. It's like everyone's on board instantly. Like that is super cool. We want to do that. And we've just been chipping away at it, I guess. And we just got lucky that we ran into a really cool guy that owns he owns kind of a building. It's called Warrior Precast, and he does all stuff in Tennessee here. And he helped us do an add-on to our shop, and we made it. I lost a bit of shop space, but we gained a bit of house with Riv in it. So that wall and inside there, we've got a bit more living space.
I was going to say, I visited the Barn Dominium mansion, if you will, a while back, and I was like, I don't remember that wall being there.
Yeah, so there's a new wall there, and they just did an unbelievable job and wouldn't have been able to do it without him. And his sort of, his business is called Warrior Precast because Warrior, he's gone through the whole thing with building businesses and failing and coming back. And we got just talking in the shop here about stuff, and he was an avid fisherman and just loves fishing, and sort of just saw where the industry was in. And he's like, man, I just love the Fear My Heart. I love what it represents. I love what you've been doing. And he said, hey, I want to support it anyway. If you can come up with an idea, I'll get behind it with you. And that's how it kind of spurred on. And, obviously there's a bunch of, there's been negative stuff in bass fishing. I'm like, there's got to be something positive going on, because we go to these tournaments and all of these amazing things happen all the time. Everyone is a big community there. Everyone is always helping someone out. There's stories behind the scenes, just nonstop going on. Fans are just elated with different guys doing different things. Guys staying back, signing autographs. That is happening day in, day out. And yet we continually are like, this guy did this and this happened. And it's because that's going to get the spike. It's going to get the views and it's going to get the pay. And it's been frustrating because I'm always like working out, hey, get fit, help do this. And it goes nowhere. No one cares about any of it. And I've done it since I got here in 2010 and it just does zero traction. But through it all, it's disheartening, but like I always get private messages. Hey man, I saw you working out in the morning or going on that run and I started running and I saw Fear My Heart and I took that on. We get these messages about Fear My Heart of people that have nothing to do with fishing. I just got one the other day and they met us up at Thousand Islands and their kid is into baseball. And the mom wrote this story of the kid that it just hit with him. And they've got the full shirts, Fear My Heart. They yell it out at the baseball things. And he's gone all the way through and ended up getting a scholarship through baseball. And like, it just affected them from us being at the campground. They said, what's that? And we said, oh, it's Fear My Heart. And we told them the story. And then they looked it up and like they took it on. It's nothing to do with fishing. And we getting stories like that on the inside all the time. And I'm like, this is gonna go somewhere. I want it to go bigger and better, and just get out to more people. And we came up with a Fear My Heart incentive for the elites, and just we were going to do it where the person that jumped from the lowest after day one to the highest position was going to get it. And so someone that showed the biggest heart that went from like 90th to 20th, made the biggest jump on day two. And I was talking to G-Man about it, and he's like, and this is what's cool about being around positive people and people that want to see you succeed and want to, just do good things. He's like, nah, man, it's got to be about heart. It's got to be about the story. And it just hit me as soon as he did it. And I was like, yeah, we just got to do it on anything. It's got to be grit, sportsmanship, integrity, heart, whatever it is, just a good story. And that way we can bring it out and tell the story, because those are the things that are happening day in and day out. And I put it out once on social media and like didn't really get it. It's not even out to everyone. And I had people in the campground saying, hey, I had one guy came up and said, I have a special needs kid. I've got nothing to do with fishing, but I saw your post because he saw us in the campground, and he said he's been walking over to G-Man and he can be a handful. And he was in G-Man's boat and picking his rods up. And he said, Gerald treated him like I've never seen anyone treat my son before. And I just want to say I really appreciate it. And I saw that your incentive and I want to put him in for that. And I had several stories like that happening from people that aren't even into fishing. And I'm like, G-Man would probably win it every week, so he's not allowed to win it. And then just through Bassmaster Live and through just people on Instagram, I had several people say, hey, I saw on Bassmaster Live that Caleb did a really cool thing, let Mike Huff in, catch his fish. Mike made a check and just was a great sportsman. And I was like, that's the one. And so Caleb won the first one, but we had Joseph Webster. He should have won. He should have been able to win. We want to do like a few of them, because there's so many. There shouldn't just be one winner. I want to tell the story, but Joseph Webster literally made a cast, had 6 in his well, pulled the lure back. It hit the side of his gunnel and like dropped into the water. And like most people probably wouldn't have called that in. It was pure accident. And he didn't really get his lure in there, and he just called them up and said, hey, I made a cast and I had 6 fish, and he got a 2-pound penalty. And like, that's the integrity and the sportsmanship that every single Bassmaster should be holding themselves to the standard.
That's incredible. The things, what you're doing when nobody else is watching. That's
exactly what it's about. And we want people telling us about the things that happen. That's what's been so cool. It's not someone saying, hey, look what I did. It's going to be people that are seeing things happen on the side that it wouldn't have got out there, and we're able to put it on the forefront. And like I said to Dave, when I posted about that, that's what we're doing. It didn't get much, and which is typical. And then when I posted about Caleb and him winning and what he did, it went really good. And I was like, oh, people are ready to hear some positive news and actually support it.
So it's a submission by basically just people like DMing you, or like anybody can enter somebody.
Yeah. And the Fear My Heart page, another elite angler can tell me, like, and I'll leave it up to, like, if it comes down to something, we'll probably put a vote up or something like that on Instagram. Like, I'm not going to be biased or anything. Like, if it comes down to something where it could be biased, I'll leave it up to someone else. But we'll keep it, to whoever definitely shows the best amount of heart and grit and whatever it is. But I'm hoping that we can do a few things, because I want to tell all the stories, because we get I got 3 or 4 stories just instantly like that after a couple of days of fishing.
Dude, that could actually be one, a really cool social play, but 2, I think helps boost it up. Like, say if it comes to the point where you're getting so many submissions in a day, like leave it up to social, have like top 3. Say it's like the Caleb Mike Huff thing. You ask Mike to do like a 30-second social clip of what happened.
Yeah.
And then you have, like, say 3 videos of the people that are involved, and it's like you have a vote. That could be really cool.
Yeah. I just want it to be fun, want it to be positive, wanted to keep it, lighthearted and cool. And just you and me talking like that, bang, we've got another way to do something cool and bring it out there. And so I just, this is the first time where I'm like, oh, this is super cool. We're like getting to really do something. And Caleb missed a check, and he was like down, and I'm down. I was like near dead last, and I seen him at the Yamaha booth. I messaged him. I said, "Are you going to be at weigh-in?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "I got something for you," and I was able to like give him $1,000. So like a bit of a spark up for him too. So super cool.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited to continue up with this and tune in, and like, 'cause it's for the remainder of the season, right?
Yep. We're going to do it for the next 4 events. And I've already had a couple sponsors just sort of say like, hey, how can we get involved? So, I wouldn't be surprised if we get like a 2nd and 3rd runner-up sort of type deal coming in there, and it'd be cool.
That's freaking awesome, man. So this is something, you're looking to expand it, like grow it? Like, is it going to be something you're thinking about for next year? Like, what are the thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. My thing is like, I want to be the best bass angler in the world. I want to win the Classic. I want to win Angler of the Year. I want to like be like at the top through the Elite Series. And in career-wise, and my next thing is like, I just want Fear My Heart to be something cool, because I know what it's done for me. I know what it's done for people. It's just like, I want it to just get bigger and better and do fun, cool stuff like this. Like right now, because Kayla's mum and Kayla, they work on it harder than anyone. So they both are like flat out with Fear My Heart, and we're finally like getting traction, growing it, and it's ticking over. And right now, Kayla's mum flew in from Idaho. She's been here for almost a week. We've got sponsor prizes coming in like crazy. We're getting all set up. This is a full week of work for a 3-hour lake cleanup on Lake Chickamauga. To me, this is like real life cool stuff. That's what I want to do, like real fulfilling things that are going to make a difference, that going to change some perspectives, see some kids that might think twice about throwing their plastic bottle out the window or out of the boat or whatever it is. It's just like, it's not much, but if it changes one person, I think then it's worth it.
Yeah, that's incredible. And speaking of throwing the water bottle out the window, have you kept up at all with Qualified Captain and the different they've kept some people in check.
Yeah, they need it too. Those people tipping the stuff out of the boat and crazy.
Yeah, at least there's some good coming from social media from that regard. But man, that's awesome. You mentioned the lake cleanup, and actually, so in a shared partner of ours with Hobie Eyewear, There's a couple things that they're doing that I wanted to highlight on here was doing a couple things. Obviously, each participant is getting some stuff, but it's cool that they're doing like the Hobie Eyewear duck hunt.
Yeah. We're going to try and keep it fun. Like, dude, when me and Kayla first did it, and I want to post this bad because this is what frustrates me about just not people, but like me and Kayla at Gunnersville went down. We picked up for 3 hours. We picked up like 10 trash bags under one bridge, and we filled the back of our 450. And it went. We didn't do it for any other reason, but like I love Gunnersville, and I got a check there, and it's been good to me. And the bridge that had been so good to me since 2015, I'm looking under it, and it was just trashed. And I'm like, this is crazy. So I'm like. I'm like, when we finish, I'm going to come back and clean it up. So me and Kayla went under and we cleaned up this hole underneath the bridge. And then we posted it, just us pulling the trash bags out. And dude, like at one stage, like I was getting I was like holding back tears, like I was pulling like just stuff out of the rocks. And I'm like, how are we doing this to this lake? This is unbelievable. I don't know why it's happening. And there's probably people know why it's happening, but it's some sort of mindset thing. I don't know why. But anyway, we went down and did it. Well, it went viral and it had 6,000 comments and all of them, whatever it was, thousands of comments. And it was like, let us know when you should have told us when you were doing it. We would have come down and helped. And I'm like, Kayla and I in 3 hours picked up the back of our 450 full of trash. We made I look back and I'm like, we made a difference on that bridge. It was just two of us in a couple of hours. That's what sparked it all. And so when it come to the Knoxville one and we did everything and all my sponsors got behind it and it got a little bit rainy and cold, like 50 savages turned up to help us. And I'm grateful for every one of them. And we picked up like 2,000 or 3,000 pounds or whatever of trash, like just piled up, just ridiculous amount of stuff. But like it got a bit cold and a bit tough, but it was cool because I got to tell those kids, I'm like, this is what it is about. It's cold and it's rainy and people didn't want to show up. And you guys chose to get up out of bed and come and help when it wasn't comfortable, when it wasn't nice, when you didn't want to, and you got to do something that you didn't cause, you didn't do, but like it's the right thing to do. And so like it was cool because I got to say that to a bunch of high school and college kids. They were all young anglers and that was cool. But I also want to post up and say, hey, there were 6,000 comments here saying, I'm like, we're doing it. The cleanup's here. Come and help us. Because if we can get 100, 150, 200, we can actually make a cool difference on the lake. You know, if two of us can do that, if 50 of us can pick up a couple thousand, what can we do if we get 100 or 200? So it's just me getting it out to the right people. Not my following's not all in Tennessee, so we've got it on all of the pages around here. But if you've got a following in Tennessee around Chattanooga, just share our post. It's the Soddy Daisy bird sanctuary down the bottom here of Soddy Creek. And we've got so much free stuff. It's insane. We've got 100 Yeti bottles. If you're the first 100 to sign in, you're going to get probably $100 worth of stuff. So we got these shirts made up, Chickamauga Cleanup, and Stacey Harvey, the same guy at that is doing this. He bought 100 of these shirts. That's how he wanted to be a part of it and give them to anyone that turns up. We've got T8. We've literally every single sponsor on my boat has really put into this one. And I think it's cool because conservation, cleaning up the lakes means something to all of them. And that's who I want to be a part of as well.
That's incredible, man. Well, so for that, that's
the duck hunt.
Weekend. That's this
yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, I should show you.
So the duck hunt, for people that are listening to it, it's for anyone that finds a Hobie Eyewear duck around the lake during the cleanup can turn it in for a free pair of Hobie Eyewear shades.
Literally, we have 20 brand new Hobie, all different types of Hobie eyewear. That's loaded up there. We've got these Hobie bags that have like 2 or 3 pairs in them. And we're putting with those ducks, like with one of them, you'll win a pair of Hobies and a Shimano and a Miller. We've got Mustang stuff. We've got packs, all of these Yeti. Every single person's going to get one of those Yeti when you first show up. There's 100 TH Marine hats there. this is what you're going to get if you just show up. Like, you're going to get everything just there, just for showing up. There's a bunch of wave away, Mustang Survival, X2 have put in like their jump packs and their battery packs. We've got everything. We've got everything dialed in. So we're just doing, we got free coffee, Wide to Fish coffee.
Yeah, got everything you need. That's incredible.
We just need people to show up and help us clean up some rubbish.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, we'll have to put something out on our social too. Funny enough, from an MP3 standpoint, are the second state that from a viewership or a listenership standpoint, like a percentage, is Tennessee.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll send some people from this here podcast, but that's incredible. If it wasn't 11 hours away, I'd say I'd make it. But one of these ones,
start driving.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that could be something, that could inspire into people making this, trend in their area too. Like, it doesn't take much to, like you said, like for you and Kayla going down to Gunnersville, it doesn't take much to get up and just go clean a park for an hour. Doesn't even have to be an hour. 30 minutes can make a big difference at your local boat ramp. Like, it's
100% picking it up when you're just on the boat. And dude, we're not the only ones doing it. People, there's a bunch of incredible people out there doing it. There's kayak, places that go up into the creeks and cleaning up all around here. There's Keep Tennessee Rivers Clean. They're all helping us. There's a bunch of the bass conservation. They do it. There's a lot of cool people doing a lot of good things. And we want to get involved with them and just be a part of it. But this is one way with our reach that we can go and change some kids' minds and clean up the lake and make it look good for. I know it's Memorial Day weekend, but we just want 3 hours of time. Yeah, we'll make it clean before you mess it up again. Yeah, hopefully they see it clean and keep it clean.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, this is not an angler thing.
No,
from a damage standpoint, but
yeah. It's a lot near the roads, and it's a lot like near where there's a lot of traffic and stuff. It's not fishermen and true, real outdoorsmen. They don't do that. The real ones don't. And I'm sure there's some of it out there, but, it's just still, we got to do our part. We didn't do it, but we got to show that, we can make a difference just changing a few mindsets, I'm sure.
Yeah, doing your best to leave things better than what you found.
Yeah, leave it when you're better than you found it. That's one of the best things I think that you can do.
I had an old hockey coach that would drill us on that. If we didn't leave our locker room better than we found it, then it was sprints for like 30, 45 minutes in next practice. So you learned real quick to clean up after yourself. But no, dude, that's incredible. I will say, I think for anglers out there, if you even need an added incentive, there definitely seems to be something where if you see like a couple weeks ago, this tournament, and I just noticed this piece of trash floating down where I'm going to a spot, and I pick it up. And I just do a little thing as I'm talking to my GoPro for my personal YouTube of like, oh, it's always good to leave things better than you found it. Plus, you never know. It could be good karma. And literally, as I say that, hook into a 5-pounder. And I'm like,
nice.
Here you go. Like,
yeah.
Do good things. Good things will come back to you.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's awesome, man. Well, dude, I appreciate you big time for taking time out. I really was like, as soon as I saw your post with Caleb, I'm like, dude, we have to talk about this. This is awesome. But with that, before we do some quick rapid fire questions with you, is there anything? I know obviously you have so many things going on, but anything else beyond that people should look out for that's coming up beyond the lake cleanup and things like that?
No, just we appreciate the support. We're going to keep fighting through this season, and I hope you can get some inspiration from Fear My Heart. If you're battling, now's the time to stand back up and start fighting, and just keep doing the right thing. That's always the best thing to do. I do want to say it's interesting, with doing the Mercer podcast, I spoke a little bit more openly than I normally would, and I don't want to come across negative, but you just never know. Like, I wish I heard some of the rookies talking about how they felt before I did that, and there was other podcasts that went out before I'd looked at that, and I just want to say that, like, I just want the best for everyone, and I understand like that that didn't want to group everyone in one thing, like, and no one should ever have that. But I just felt like, I don't like talking like that because I don't want someone to come off the wrong way and like I'm going after this or saying different things. I just want the best for everyone. I want the best for this sport. I want everyone to thrive. I just want good things. But sometimes, when you speak, people probably can take things different ways. That's the beauty of, I guess, podcasts and being able to talk. But there are things that I need to get off my chest sometimes when you're talking, and Dave is a great person to go back and forth with that, because he'll have a different opinion than me and he doesn't mind and I don't mind. So we can go back and forward and be like, okay, and battle, either battle it out or agree or, change your perspective. But I do think that this stuff has been going on forever. The negativity of stuff. It's just being highlighted more than ever. I've battled this stuff since 2015. The older guys being able to get in when we could all get info, and I just didn't know anyone. So I was just getting savage. I was mad at all. I would always be frustrated with how can we get this sport better and more in a level playing field. That's all I want. All I've ever asked for, just give me a level playing field. And even with that info rule, I knew that would hurt the rookies eventually. And I've tried to get that changed since 2020. Not now. I seen it in 2020. I'm like, hey, that last Northern guys, they don't know they're not in the elites, but they can get info. I'm like, that's not going to be good eventually. Mm-hmm. And it's just that the rookies are so good this year. It shined a huge light on it. And although I want it level playing field, so that can't happen, I knew it was going to suck for them, because no matter what they did, someone's going to say, yeah, but. And I hate that for anyone that wins. I don't want there to be a yeah, but. Should be just shaking someone's hand and saying, congrats, dude, you figured them out and you beat everyone on the day. And the more we can get back to that, the better things are going to go. But this has been happening forever. The sport is going good. It's just getting highlighted because everything's out there now. It's just getting shown a little bit more. But this is professional sports and people from all different walks of life, and it's the highest peak end. There's going to be crazy stuff happen all through it. But I think we're generally trending in the right direction of rules and getting it on that level playing field. It's weird. There always seems to be something that needs adjusting, but I think it'll level out.
Yeah, no, I think it's going the right direction. I don't think anybody from that podcast with Mercer, you're one of the last people that anybody would think has any ill intent with your words. And I think it, to be quite honest with you, when there's issues like this at hand, when there needs to be opportunities like this to improve the sport, people that are well respected, like yourself, like Brandon, like Gerald Swindle, like those guys that you in that group that are your voice, your words carry a lot of weight. That is when your words are most needed. I think people look to you guys for direction. So I don't think, I know you say you rarely do speak openly like that, and I don't think that's an issue, because it means when you do speak, people do need to listen. But I think it's important that guys like yourself do speak up about that, because I think the vast majority, because social media is one thing, but the people you see most on social media are usually the loud ones, and it's usually a very small group if it leans one way or another, where there's a lot of people that have very high and well-respected opinions that remain quiet for a little while.
Yeah.
It's time to speak. And I think it's very important for you guys to do so, if that makes any sense. So I appreciated everything you said. And I think a lot of people with level-headed heads on their shoulders agree with that.
No, that's good. I'm like, I know someone's going to take that wrong or do this, but I know I want to stay quiet. I just let things play out, and that's not the best either. That's kind of like being a bit of a coward. You're just like, I'm like, just let all of that go over. But I'm in the middle of this sport. I'm being affected by it just like everyone else is. And as long as I have the intention of the best for everyone and not just what's going to suit me, I think, and that's how everyone should be in whatever battle this is, what's going to be the best all-rounder, not just what's going to suit. I think that's good. But it's just, I definitely felt just a little bit but that's going to be the uncomfortable thing. the hunting thing, Cam Haines, Rogan, all of those guys, I feel like I was like a bit of a coward when it came to a lot of that stuff because I saw the heat people got on social media for hunting, and I was like, I'm not putting anything out there. Like, I could see how bad it was, and they went through the trenches, went through the flames, and now, dude, I can post about my elk in Idaho and bow hunting, and there's 200 comments, and not one of them are negative. And I'm like, I didn't do that. They did that. They fought for it. And so saying like, just get back to fishing and be quiet and don't talk about it, it's probably not the best thing either. Like, the stuff needs to be spoken about, figured out. It might be negative, might be positive, but it does need to be put out there and fought for, as long as it's fighting for like everyone going in the same direction. And that's what they did with hunting. Like, and now it's unbelievable. Like, we all can post about hunting on social media, and it wasn't that long ago that, like, dude, you were crucified if you put something on social media to do with hunting. And like, a certain few guys took the heat and took the brunt and got through it, and now it's like, it's mainstream.
Yeah, and I hate that that's a thing, because I feel like your point when you're talking about with Dave, where you're not going to agree on everything, but it's two mature adults having a conversation with opposing viewpoints, which seems to be a rarity nowadays, which it's really not a hard thing to do. Like,
No.
I think of all the things right now in the fishing industry, when we talk about from a negative standpoint, the biggest thing that drives me crazy is somebody that is for, say, forward facing sonar and somebody that isn't.
Yeah.
And just because they disagree, they immediately turn just nasty to each other.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I have best friends that hate it.
Yeah.
But we're fine. Like, we can get along just fine. Like, it's, that's the thing I hate the most. And it's one of those times where it's preached a lot and it's so cliche, but if something makes you feel a certain type of way, before you go and try to comment or say something, take 10 seconds to put yourself in the opposing point of view. Because it might make you think twice about click and send or saying what you're about to say.
Yeah. Sometimes everything up in the old head doesn't need to come out on the social media or the main comment. And I get it still now, dude. The people comment on my stuff, and I'm like, they'll say something negative, and like, I just know now, like, I just feel for that person. I'm like, you didn't chase your dream, you didn't get it, you're not going to fight for it, so you're like gonna say something. It's the only person that's going to do that is the person that isn't there, isn't in the arena, isn't battling for it. And you know, and the forward facing thing, that's just everything in life right now. Like, you get two opposing people, just they clash like that in every single aspect of life. It's not just that one thing, but that's just the most polarizing thing right now in fishing. And it'll be interesting to see where it all goes. But you got to stay positive. You got to have hopes that bass fishing's gonna keep being the awesome sport that it is, and keep doing all the right things. And I believe it is.
Heck yeah, man. We'll keep fighting the good fight, and definitely look for you as one of the stewards, and appreciate all your words, and especially on the show, man. So before we let you go, I know we've been going on here, and I definitely want to let you go here so it's not too late. So a couple quick, fun, rapid fire questions to cap this thing off. Okay. We did a couple of Burge. It was a good time. So first one, favorite sport to watch as a fan?
UFC.
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
Are you a newly UFC fan, or have you been a fan for a while?
No, I'm a long-time fan. I've been sort of in the boxing world for a long time. My cousin was an Australian champion boxer, and so that just kind of fed on through into UFC, and sort of I take on a lot of the UFC stuff and try and bring it into my fishing with the way that they do that sport.
That's wicked cool. Total didn't mean to sidetrack already. Did you know there's an UFC guy in kayak fishing?
Yeah, I follow him. I never got to really watch his fights. He loves his kayak fishing. A lot of the UFC guys like fishing. Clay Guida, and there's a bunch of them. But
it's wicked cool, man.
Yeah.
All right, you win $1 million. What's your first purchase?
Probably like a big property in Idaho.
You and Brandon just can't stay away from each other, can you?
Kayla would be happy with that. I'd be happy. It would be good.
Yeah, you just say, Brandon, which one do you really want? Okay, I'm gonna buy that one.
Yeah.
You can't go.
Brandon wouldn't complain. Be
I
good.
love it. All right, so you have to any one person in the fishing industry that you could elect as the bass fishing president, who would you vote for?
Oh, probably Brandon.
Okay, I can see that.
I think Brandon's got one of the best level heads for a younger guy. He's right in the middle. Like, he's not too young and he's not in the older, and he's got both viewpoints in check. So I think he'd be perfect.
I love that. All right, one lake you haven't been to but want to go.
Which one haven't I been to? Oh, Clear Lake. Haven't been
in Cali?
Lake. Yeah. Fished all around there, but haven't been there.
And I hear it's back too.
Yeah, and they're catching them right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks real good.
All right. Biggest weakness.
Probably. Oh no, I'd say like maybe shallow cranking. Like, I like it, but I just got to get a little bit better at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
In line with that, what's your biggest fear?
Biggest fear? Don't have many these days. Nothing really scares me.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
It means Carl Jocumsen is one of my biggest fears. All right.
Check.
Yeah. All right. Last one, man. We're going to let you go here. Is one word you want to be used in describing your legacy?
Heart.
I had a feeling that was coming.
Awesome. I'm going to say grit, but I think heart.
I love that. Hell yeah, man. Well, dude, seriously, thank you so much for joining the show. Seriously, it's inspirational, the stuff that you have going on top of being a dad, on top of being a husband, on top of fishing the elites. It's inspiring from a work ethic standpoint, but also seeing all that work ethic go into something that's positive, not just for yourself. So seriously, keep it up, because a lot of people are making a positive change because of the words and things that you guys are doing. So I appreciate you for it. And man, you always got a seat on here.
Yep, anytime, and means a lot. Thanks for the words, and thanks for having me on, and just appreciate the support. And you guys keep crushing it. I want to see you keep doing your thing and make it the biggest and best podcast you can. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, you heard that, Mercer. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, they're coming for you, Dave.
No, for real, man. I'm looking forward to see all the stuff that comes from the lake cleanup, and
yep,
wishing you guys all the best.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. See you guys.
That was awesome. Well, man, folks, sorry, go ahead, Andy.
And say, yes, I'm having all these killer guests on because I get trapped just listening instead of talking. It's pretty bad.
Well, I feel bad sometimes. I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, I want to ask this on. You can't hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, that's weird. That's showing on me on my sound, but can people hear me in the comments?
I can hear you now. My Siri decided to pop up. It was very delayed.
You are not listening, Andy.
Yes. I was like, I could see your mouth talking. I was like, he's not muted, but yeah.
There goes my Siri. She just started talking on my phone. But for real, for folks that want to check out, if you're in the Tennessee area, I highly encourage you guys to go to the lake cleanup. Hobie Eyewear, X2 Power, some great partners of ours, including a bunch of Carl's, as you saw with the Yeti stuff, things like that. Are really putting some gears behind the efforts that they're doing. So if you're in the Tennessee area, highly encourage you guys to get involved. And if you're not, use this as inspiration to try to get something going, and get your buddies, go clean up the local pond, go clean up the local creek you fish. Things like, doesn't have to be a huge big spectacle. Just doing your part. Like if you go to the ramp, clean up 5 pieces of garbage.
Don't even worry about it being at the ramp, right? Like, yeah, that's great. But even if you go for a walk with your family around the neighborhood, take a garbage bag and pick up the pieces of trash on the side of the road. We emphasize that with our kids, and every day we come home with, when we go on our family walks, a bag of trash through our nice neighborhood. So like, just leave everything better than you found it. It's a basic principle at this point, and it should be, because the earth looks a little better when it's just a little cleaner. So
Yeah. Or the earth appreciates it. And the
yes.
fish gods may reward you for your efforts. So, man, it's awesome. And if you guys want any Fear My Heart merch, follow, Carl on social, as well as our first guest, Zach. I got all the socials and the website to Fear My Heart down in the show notes. So you guys can go check that out. I've got myself some merch, and I know a bunch of people have. One, it's freaking cool. But two, it's got a good purpose behind it. And it serves as something that it could be a daily reminder. Like I wear this bracelet every day. It was actually inspired by Carl's Fear My Heart, and it's literally just it's a little bit more ruthless in its words, but it says nobody cares, work harder, which so it's kind of like a constant reminder. So it's a great mindset, great mentality to have. But great show tonight, absolutely great show. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys have
Bailey
any,
crushed it.
yeah, I feel so bad sometimes where it's
No,
just
you're
like
good.
I'm
But
just talking way too much.
no, you're perfectly fine because there's times that I just enjoy listening, which is probably bad on my side. But I'm like, man, Bailey's already asked him, is literally asking him the same question I want to. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna let him go.
You
I'm
should.
just
So
gonna
we,
listen.
Andy and I have upgraded to a shared doc for our
Yeah.
quote unquote outline, where you should just start typing there like, "Hey, shut up, let me ask questions."
But I got this.
Hey, I got this. Stop talking. For the love of God, stop talking.
No, you're fine. Like it's good. So I don't mind. I feel bad when I don't put any input in because sometimes I feel like I might have a good question or two, but I mean, you crush it every time. Yeah.
I don't know
You're
about
rock
every
set.
time. I don't know about
No.
at all. But one thing I wanted
I-
to bring up too with this is I actually had somebody talk to me about the mentality thing the other day. So we had a tournament Saturday, and it was, if anybody watched or follows my personal social, that it was brutal, at least the way that I chose to fish.
yeah, you're
Uh,
nuts, but I love it.
I'm a certified psychopath. But so kayak tournament, and where I wanted to go fish was about a good 3-4 foot rollers the entire day. Never once in my entire life have I gotten seasick until this day. I've been out in, giant, waves offshore, deep sea fishing with my dad where everyone's getting seasick and I'm the only one fishing. Like, so it's never affected me in my entire life. Got seasick that day. That tells you anything. That crazy of a day. I mean, I managed to still catch him in it and, proceeding to put back smallmouth as I get sick. But afterwards, we go to awards and everything. And I decided to go fishing afterwards. And I had one of those guys come up to me. He goes, dude, after all that, you're going to go fish? Like, yeah, man, like it's got nothing else to do. I mean, wife was out for the night, and it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's another chance to go have fun, work on some things. And he's like, yeah, I've heard you talk about like the mentality of things, and like he's seen my bracelet, whatever, and um, he's just like, yeah, I feel that sometimes, but then sometimes like I feel like I'm getting lazy. I feel like I doubt it, and the conversation got real pretty fast. And I wanted to remind some people this conversation, like with a Carl, he's an incredibly inspiring, motivating. And I can guarantee you, if you ask him, and he even said it on Mercer, this is not a 24/7 mindset. It's just a mindset you need to have to start your day, end your day, and remind yourself because every single day you are going to doubt it. That's just normal. So don't think it's like a thing that you just stick with and it stays constant. If it does, it's a very, very rare case. But there's times when you're going to there's times where you're gonna, you want to go be lazy when you got stuff to do. That's where this mindset helps kick in that reminder to get off the couch, to go and do that. So it's okay to doubt, or have negative feelings. It's when you work on having a positive mindset, a hardworking mindset, that it's the voice in the back of your head that reminds you of, hey, you know, if it's a hardworking standpoint, the next person isn't going to go and do that. So you should go do that because it's going to get you to that next step. It's going to get you to that next skill level, things like that. Or if it's negative, you do something that's remains you positive and it gets you on a better mental track to move forward. But I don't know. I felt like that needed to be said after such a motivational and inspirational episode with Carl. I felt like that needed to be said because at the end, we're just human. Nobody expected it to be like that 24/7. But Andy, amazing show. I'm looking forward to as this Carl show drops on MP3 for our listeners. It'll be Friday, which means Andrew Hayes will
Memorial
be
Day
coming
weekend.
here today, and Memorial Day weekend ensues. So we will be getting away from highly populated lakes and hopefully going to crack their butt. Hopefully mix a smallmouth and largemouth, frogging, slim jigging. Unfortunately, it's that time of year where smallies are on beds, largies are on beds, but we're gonna try some post-spawn, pre-spawn stuff. Which
Yeah,
speaks
and
for
a full moon, which does not help your case at all.
no, but it just means we're gonna catch a lot of fish regardless. Either way. Which for next week we have the Hobie BOS coming up on Cayuga, which if anyone's on the fence, I know we have a bunch of kayak people listen to it. If you're on the fence about it, personally, I
How many
do not
people are
like
signed
spawn
up for that?
tournaments. What?
How many people are signed up for it?
I'll tell you in 2 seconds. Let me see. So right now we have 70 anglers signed up, so which is pretty good because there's gonna be a bunch more that sign up later this week. Because I think practice starts Saturday. But either way, it should probably get to 100, I would think. If you're on the fence about it, I encourage you to. There's gonna be a lot of fish caught, and it's gonna be a good time, especially if we get good weather. It's just a beautiful place, Seneca County. A lot of things to do. I encourage you if you're gonna come up early. Check out some other fisheries. It's a great place to come fish if you're on the fence. So I'll be going live with Hobie BOS tomorrow evening. You guys want to go check that out, and here's some more incentive as to why you should come up and fish. But should be a fun tournament, and hopefully not one where I'm looking at him on bed the whole time. But that's just me. That's personally. Some people love it. I'm not a big fan, but either way. Anything else, Andy? Anything else I might have missed?
No, I will put a note out there. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get a Lure Lab episode recorded for this weekend because I leave Thursday for vacation for the weekend. I'm going to try to do it tomorrow, but been kind of a hectic couple weeks here, so we'll see what we can do.
Heck yeah, man. Well, that's all good. The Lure Labs have been absolutely crushing. If you guys have not checked those out before, Lure Labs, a great show that Andy runs here on the Serious Angler Podcast Network. That's literally to one bait or technique a week on that show. So check it out on MP3 or on YouTube. It's got all the links down in the show notes below. But next Tuesday night live is with Mike Corbishley, who was the NPFL winner on Lake Hartwell, as well as we're going to be joined by Bassmaster Elite Series rookie Kyle Patrick, who's actually back home in New York. So we'll get to catch up with him as they got a little break before the Alabama swing. So, folks, you guys are incredible. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that episode. Appreciate y'all. See you next week.